Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Secrets of the Sire. We do this every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, talkradio.nyc. As always, I am your host, Michael Dolce, and joining me today, as always, is my co-host, the Lord of the Radio.
Yeah.
I have to start I really have to call you that every single week?
Yes, you do. It's in the contract.
I feel very
It doesn't exist.
Weird doing that. Like,
No.
it's kind of like...
I feel weird being here, we're even.
Show me some credentials. Show me something that...
The time for credentials was when I got the job. Now it's discrimination. Now I have to talk to HR about it.
We don't even have an HR. We do have our staff writer, Peter Aiken.
Yes.
You can say something, Peter.
Hi.
There you go. Very good. Star of a future drop. We have Sam Leibowitz, our engineer. And a very special guest tonight in studio, my wife, Christina Dolce, who's our Game of Thrones expert.
Fix.
Hi. Please don't judge me or my husband
You're being
or
judged.
his co-host by anything I say unless it's awesome. In which case, accolades all the way.
Okay, so judge you if
Nice.
it's good, and don't judge you if it's bad. That's what we actually do our entire... That's the entire philosophy of our show.
Excellent.
She's got it.
Only harp on the good stuff. So
Yes.
yes,
Exactly.
so yes, welcome everyone. We have an awesome guest joining us a little bit later on tonight. Mark Poulton is the creator of the Pizza Tree. He created that with a 7-year-old son.
I want
It's
pizza.
really exciting.
I want a pizza right now.
It's a
hungry.
story about a young boy who plants a pepperoni pizza in the backyard
want
and
pepperoni
creates a
pizza.
giant, little shop of horrors kind of tree.
I don't want a horror tree. I just want pizza. I just want pepperoni pizza.
So, boo to the horror tree.
Boo to the horror tree. Yay to the pepperoni.
But,
Yay to the pepperoni
but wait,
pizza.
but does the cheese pizza tree eat
No,
people
it's
too, or just
it's
the
a pepperoni
one?
pizza tree.
What if
Is
there
it-
was like a cheese one?
Well,
Does it-
that's not the story.
okay.
Yeah, stick with the story.
No, I'm here to shake things up.
We've grown stale.
Yeah,
and
apparently,
she's
yes.
She's here to bust.
We have
some
to bring her in
heads.
for ratings.
This is
we have to bring her in for ratings.
if she can't save the show.
Yes, nobody
No
can.
one can.
She's the 7 of 9 of the Secrets of the Sire.
The one thing that I have learned though about bringing in your significant other and or marital partner is that it is basically poop on the person who brought them day. So this will be poop on me day, which it's normally poop on Hassan day. We will still poop on Hassan.
Yeah, we're not going to call it that though.
We're not?
That evokes imagery that I'm not not too happy about.
And if you are a patron and you are a $5 patron, you got my awesome story about how someone actually pooped on my floor one day in our Patreon.
It's not a great story,
exclusive
though.
green room feed. Well, to be fair, I tell
You
it
should
better.
get your friend to be a $5 patron so he can hear how he pooped on your floor.
Oh no.
But to be fair, he did. He drank too much, and somehow
How
it
does
came
drinking
out.
too much constitute you pooping on someone else's floor?
I
That
have
has never happened in the history of really bad decisions.
Well,
after lots of alcohol.
As I told the story, remember he did wake up at some point. He somehow found his way to the bathroom after this already
you
occurred.
have to.
Like no. I guess my dumbfoundness that he found the bathroom was, his explanation later was, I was in a strange house I'd never been in. I didn't know where the bathroom was.
So
But
I
somehow-
decided to poop on the floor.
Right, but he somehow managed to find the bathroom after he pooped on the floor. Like
Because the crisis was over, so he was able to relax.
He was clear-headed? Yeah, at that point,
taking
yeah.
his surroundings. You know,
So his
assess things.
exact phrase was
Broke out his
had
compass.
that had never happened to him before.
Of course not.
Right.
It
Never happened to us either.
ever happens to you
Well,
before.
I think that qualifies,
as if that
right?
makes up for it. You don't want a first time pooping on someone's floor.
I hope that was his first and final time pooping on somene's floor.
Yes, that's something
Unless
you
he
don't
was
want.
quitting a job.
You don't want to build experience in doing that. No, I don't want to stand back. I've done this before. You got to squat the right way.
This amazing poop talk is courtesy of all of our beloved
fault.
patrons, which we do love. We love
I don't love the
our
patrons.
dedicated fans, Einar Peterson, Matt Byer, Ashley Haikai,
Not her name.
who is on our Facebook feed right now on facebook.com.
But that's not. Does she,
Hey,
does she
girl.
ever get
The
you
sorry.
for?
Oh yeah,
pronouncing her
we've
name
discussed this. Yeah, we've
horrendously.
discussed this.
I don't even know her, and I'm like, get her name right.
Our
What's the
program
matter with you?
director, Stephanie Dolce, our executive producer, Steve Ovecki, Brian Phillips, and Christina Gillen. And as always, our Uber fan and Game of Thrones expert, Christina Dolce.
I brought my way onto the show. I'm not ashamed to admit it.
How did that happen? How do people do this? This is supposed to be an institution, and then you just let anybody in.
Well, that's kind of what my marketing strategy is now.
Just let anybody
Aw, Crooked Michael. Crooked Michael over
Crooked.
here.
I will do anything to be successful. Anything.
All right. I guess that's why I follow
I will not poop on your floor.
Yeah. This show
Maybe.
will be over the morning I come out of my room and find you pooping on my floor. I'm going to be like, you know what? I've given it a lot of thought. And I'm just going to have to part ways with the show.
As much as we could continue with this poop talk, I think the majority of our live listeners,
I could put an hour to it.
Oh God, I could do an entire comedy routine on poop. I'm not even joking. So many things. All right. Anyway, we are on iTunes every Friday, iHeartRadio every Friday, Patreon, Instagram, SoundCloud. We're on live talkradio.nyc every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 877-480-4120. So call in if you got some poop stories or you want to talk about Game of Thrones.
Don't call us with your poop stories, please.
Game of Thrones, which is what we are talking about tonight. How's everyone feeling after the finale? Did we exhale? Did people make it? My wife, to your credit, you were essentially all week long. You're like, I can't deal with this. I don't know who's gonna die. But we had a couple deaths. This will be my obligatory spoiler time. So if you haven't seen, how could you be a fan of Game of Thrones and not have seen the finale by now, right? Unless you're in another country.
No, that happens.
No.
There are
do
people,
not excuse those people.
You want me to get it real?
Yeah, I do.
A bunch of people in Texas, I bet, haven't seen it. There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
Oh, no.
Even they managed to find.
Oh, you're telling me? If you're a true
last of
fan,
their
I don't
bad
care how much
life.
water's in your living room. You watch Game of Thrones.
The TV goes on the shelf, and you just move on.
Power through it.
Please donate to your local Red Cross, though, and do help the survivors
I
and people. Yeah, please do. In all seriousness, we joke, but we.
It's not funny.
Oh my God! We went from
It's
poop
not
to
funny.
serious discussion.
That's how the show goes.
And back to Game of Thrones.
I had to stop watching the news. I can't see imagery of people canoeing down a main street over and over again.
That's true. It's the same footage over and over again.
Yes, I did just make it all about me just now.
You did.
I did.
You did
but it's just hard to watch. It's
right.
hard to
Actually,
watch.
you did. You're like, this horrible thing's going on. It's really inconveniencing me.
Yes.
And my news watching.
Yes. No. But
that's what we do here.
Yeah. We're terrible people.
All right. So we gave people plenty of time. If you have not seen Game of Thrones season finale, season 7, please.
Littlefinger died.
Keep watching. So how about that death? Game of Thrones actor on his shocking season 7 finale death. Aidan Gillen. Gillian or Gillen?
Gillen.
Gillen? Like Christina Gillen? Are they related? Is our patron related to...
I'm not allowed to talk about that.
Oh, my goodness. He is quoted as saying, as soon as Arya produces the dagger, he knows the game is up. Christina, was that a satisfying death?
I've been waiting for that. Every episode this season, I'm like, when is this guy? Every time he comes on the screen, I'm like, this guy, I hope he gets it.
This guy.
This guy.
This son of a...
He's just so smarmy. Like, he comes in and he's like, Sansa. And she's like...
I love you. Now go bang this bastard.
No. I know.
Horribly.
Sold her to Ramsay Bolton.
Right.
Like, what did he think was going to happen?
Yeah. No good.
I'll tell you a little secret. I watched the first season of Game of Thrones. Don't you dare! I watched the first season of Game of Thrones all the way up to the episode where they took Ned prisoner.
Yeah.
And Littlefinger betrays Ned.
Yeah.
And I watched it all cold, never having seen it before.
Sure.
After I watched that scene, I had read pretty much all 4 of the books before the season finale, because I just wanted to see Littlefinger get killed.
See, my wife actually read most of the books at the time, though, right?
Oh yeah, I was like spite reading at a certain point. It was like the first book was okay, and then the second one I was like, and then the third one I was like, but what happens to Jon though? And then I was like spite reading to the end. So a lot of these,
I loved those books.
I gotta go back and reread them.
Well, I never read something.
No, wait. Don't give in to him.
No, I do have to go back and reread.
No.
I told you,
poop on him. It's okay.
No.
See how I diverted the poop away from me?
Do not.
That's what being a host is all
That's very bad.
about.
Hassan will not appreciate the poop. It's not going to happen.
So
I've never read anything so vigorously.
Yeah.
It was an experience. I'm like, I can't stop reading this frickin' stuff. And these books are not.
No, they're
not
small.
little books.
No.
If you threw a book at a kid, you'd kill him. So don't do that, though. By the way, we don't endorse that. Don't throw books at children.
How'd you feel about them killing off Lady Stoneheart, though? They didn't bring her in the series.
They didn't even bring her in the series. I don't know if
I was upset.
I don't know if you could do it because I think people would be too confused as to why Lady Stoneheart is dead but alive.
Yeah.
Yet there's an army of mindless dead that are in the north that are coming to kill us all, and I don't think people would be able to really comprehend the difference between the two.
Uncle Benjen is like undead too, though.
Yes, but
so that's what Mike was like. Wait,
Uncle Benjen
wasn't he dead? And I was like, yeah. He's
Uncle Benjen just shows up as a plot device every few minutes. He's not like an actual. He's not an actual fixture in the stories like Lady Stoneheart.
That's true.
George R.R. Martin actually went on record saying he's bummed that there's no Lady Stoneheart in this.
He's actually starting to talk out against the show a little bit.
But that's the question. Well, what was my theory? A few months ago?
I don't know. I don't know what happened.
Well, you don't actually listen. Yeah, you don't listen.
I don't listen.
No, my theory was that George R.R. Martin gets to see exactly how everything plays out and gets to kind of pick and choose what he's going to put in those final books.
That may be true. But George R.R. Martin needs to finish those books. Now, I'm not one of those people who usually bitches that he's taking too long to write these books and he needs to finish it. But he's taking too long to write these books and he needs to finish it.
Prediction, do you think that we're going to actually have a book out by the time
Yes. By the next season, we're going to actually have the Winds of Winter. Some theorize we're going to have both books, that he's going to actually have both
he's
books.
He's just going to unleash that? But what gives you any semblance of hope that he can do that? Because considering he hasn't been right, I don't
think he can.
He hasn't been able to produce a new book in how long it's been? 15 years?
No, it's been almost 8 years, 7 years.
That's like 15 years. That's morally, it's exactly
that's
the same.
the Dolce math. So that's what you're dealing with. So you do the books for the house, right? You do the finances.
We don't talk about that on record.
Okay. That's what I figured.
So let's talk about the other juicy thing that kind of happened there in the finale, though. We have Jon Snow banging his aunt, and we kind of
I'm
learned
sorry,
that.
I got to cut in for the ladies. That ass, though.
That wasn't. When we saw the nudity
was there
shot.
An ass?
Oh.
Was there? I didn't see anything. How odd! I was struck blind.
We were definitely excited when the HBO comes up, and then there's the you get to see graphic violence and nudity. We're like, nudity! Oh, it's Jon Snow's butt. Yeah,
no,
he's a very tiny man.
Yeah, the first few seasons of Game of Thrones was really a really much better experience for me than
chock
the
full of female nudity.
I've seen Jon Snow's ass at least 3 times, and I'm kind of tired.
Well, Amelia Clark's like, yo, I'm Daenerys, bitch. I do not show my butt anymore. I do not show
there was
anything
side
anymore.
boob. There was side boob.
There was a little side boob, which is good. I mean,
that's
look,
not the same as some dude's man ass in your face.
Yeah.
Stop it! Stop it! Stop with the man ass.
Any other real quick thoughts before we go to commercial on the finale? Because quite frankly, to me, the finale...
18 months until season 8 is
But
bullshit.
that's the whole thing, right? The whole purpose of this episode is not necessarily... nothing extravagant happened, nothing extraordinary happened, with the exception of a couple, like the one death, the two of them getting together, and the dragon bursting through the wall. This is all set up for season 8, which is going to lead us to the next segment, where we go into our theories for season 8 coming up next.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Do you want to connect with?
Are you an entrepreneur or intrapreneur looking to build your following?
Welcome to our show.
Follow Me Friday with Joan
and Priya.
Tune in every Friday at noon Eastern
on talkradio.nyc.
We're your digital connectors. Woo woo! What's that?
Talking Alternative Radio, 24 hours a day.
Now in theaters, Beauty and the Beast is out, and there's big controversy with 2 because of the supposed gay relationship that takes
Yes.
place. You know,
And I
on
thought the
outskirts.
real controversy would be about the bestiality.
Bestiality is not a problem.
Oh, yeah,
it's just
yeah,
homosexuality. We don't like that. Having sex with a giant beast, that's all right.
Secrets of the Sire.
Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. We do this every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Talkradio.nyc, Facebook.com/Secrets of the Sire. Follow us on Twitter at Michael_Dolce or Instagram MDolce64. We never bother to create a show page because we're lazy.
What do you mean, we, white man?
Chris Katsakis. Well, how would they know that you're not a white man? You're not on camera.
I'm not any man. I am a nothing.
Chris Katsakis
He's
actually
no one. He's
did
no
a
one.
great job
Exactly.
of illuminating the various names that Jon Snow has had throughout this entire 7 seasons.
Yeah, someone's a
7+
big
run.
Jon Snow fan.
Jon Aegon of House Targaryen, 6th of his name, the Bastard of Winterfell, 998th Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, the Resurrected, the White Wolf, the King of the North, rightful King of the Seven Kingdoms, the Andals, the Rhoynar, and the First Men, Shield of the Realm of Men, Knower of Things. Is he the Knower of Things? Is
He knows nothing.
He knows nothing.
He knows nothing.
The Prince that was promised, the Son of Fire and Ice. Now he's he's like that employee that just like keeps getting
The
promoted,
entire last
or like even laterally
the
gets promoted.
entire last episode of season 8
And
is
he's
going to be
like-
dedicated just to reading off those names.
It's just like
It's going to be like 42
how
minutes
many
of
business
names.
cards has this guy gone through though? At some point,
It's
He's
gonna
like-
be a scroll.
He's like, here I am.
It's not
I'm
a card, it's
manager of. Oh no, I'm not the manager
Yeah.
of titles anymore. Now I'm the site manager. Oh no, now I'm the human resources
not a-
development business manager.
It's not a business card; it's a scroll.
He's the guy that got fired. He's the guy that pooped on my floor.
He is. Jon Snow pooped on
He
your
had
floor.
numerous.
No,
he
even
could be
better.
forgiven.
They're like nobody. People like what they're good at, and he's like, I don't.
I don't like pooping on the floors.
Yeah.
Ashley
But I just do
Haikai
it.
said his ass is not tiny.
That is not her name.
It is on this show.
It's a lot of squats that
her
went
ass
into
is
that.
not.
Let me
His
just
ass is
tell
not
you.
tiny.
So here's the thing.
Is that
right?
even a debate? Were we having that debate about how big his ass was?
Maybe they were having that debate in the comment section of Facebook.
They can do that. We don't need to bring it here.
Sire.
Don't bring it here. Don't. Bring
You're just
it
like
here.
keep that ass away from you.
Don't bring it here, Dolce.
I'm not going to even go into that.
No.
All right. So the fun part about Game of Thrones,
Mayonnaise.
right? And no, I mean, okay, you have episodes like the Red Wedding. You have actually, no, wait. Let's even go back even further. The 9th episode, even though there was not 10 episodes this season, the penultimate episode of Game of Thrones every single season seems to be the one where the major stuff happens, right? The Battle of Blackwater, the Battle of the Bastards, Jon Snow. Well, Jon Snow got killed in that season finale. I guess that really squashes my theory. But
No, but then they
That's
had the battle
important.
of.
they had the battle with
They had the Hardhome.
Right,
The
right.
Battle
I
of
mean,
Hardhome.
there was all these things that majorly things happen, and I just invented that word. Happy anniversary, by the way, honey. Yeah.
It's tomorrow.
Segue.
Yeah, segue.
Tomorrow.
In my brain, I was thinking about all the beers we had before to celebrate our anniversary, and that's why I came up with majorly. Majorly, the major
Get your
things
own
happen.
show. That's for the anniversary show.
That's right. That's
not
right.
for-
The majorly things that happened the penultimate episode. So I guess in a way we can't be disappointed that some minor things happened. It was a lot of like shuffling the deck. It was a lot of just getting us to the next
10th,
season.
the
right?
last episode or the 10th episode
Right.
has always been like a kind of a wrapping everything up and setting everything up for the next season.
Right.
And kind of bringing everybody down from the unbelievable shock that they had the week before.
Right, exactly,
especially
right.
after the Red Wedding.
Right. So in general, I mean, we can't be surprised by this trend that a lot didn't necessarily happen. But what it did do is set up the final season. And what's the best part about being a fan of Game of Thrones? Peter, what's the best part? Coming up with theories as to what
No, that's not
is
the best
going
one.
on.
I don't agree.
Hassan is anti-theory, but we're going to go into some theories.
Anti-theory.
And we're going to start with this one, and it's going to be tied directly to the episode. Did the Game of Thrones Season 7 finale hint at a major betrayal? Game of Thrones fans are convinced that a major betrayal could be on the cards. That's terrible writing, by the way. It should be in the cards. After the season finale ended with Tyrion Lannister watching mysteriously as Jon Snow and Daenerys went to bed together.
Daenerys.
Well, Daenerys.
Say her name right. Get names right.
I
Daenerys.
will butcher
Get names
every
right.
name I can. The first sign reportedly came early on in the episode with subtle hints that Tyrion might not be totally loyal, having discussed the merits of lying to Jon Snow after he turned down the chance to earn an offer of peace from Cersei.
Oh.
So is Tyrion going to end
Lies on Game of
up...
Thrones?
Is Tyrion going to end up being a traitor in the end? I mean, at the end of the day, don't. I mean, he had 100 million reasons to hate his family, but it's still family at the end. What do you think, honey?
Nah. He's a strategist through and through. He believes in Daenerys. He believes in what she stands for. He backs her. I think he's more concerned about the fact that, relationships in this show don't end well.
Yeah.
And having her vision of conquering Westeros and making it like an equal place for everybody might be compromised by the fact that she's in love with somebody that might not share that exact vision, that might have a different way of going around it, that's more concerned with beating the king in the north.
Can we talk about that a second, though? Like, is she really in love with him? I mean, I know that's, even George R.R. Martin early on, they said on set in season 1 was like, no, I'm shipping Dany and Jon. It's going to be Dany and Jon, because he didn't know if the show was going to be a success or not, so he was actually a little more, like, loose-lipped with what he was actually saying on set. But were they really in love? I mean, are they really in love? I don't know. I kind of get like a let's test the waters vibe, not like you're my star-crossed aunt that I'm going to bang.
I mean, George R.R.
Is there
Martin
a question in there somewhere?
No, he's on the record.
Peter's got something to say. What do you think, Peter?
I think it was on once Jon pet the dragon. You could see she.
there's a theory behind why.
In that word, you phrased it perfect. Like boom. That's why he's our staff writer.
No,
pet the dragon.
No,
perfect.
No, everybody's wrong. The minute she was in the Jon Snow was the minute he said he was going to go to the north to get a corpse. A walking corpse.
She was into that.
Minute, and you know what? I'm making a joke, but if you actually watch that scene, that was the minute. The look on her face is that was it.
Yeah, that was it.
Like, no, not
She's
my
like,
Jon Snow.
I actually think it was
she was like, Jorah Mormont, you go. You're all right. Tyrion, you can
You're
go.
You're old and pasty.
You can go. No, not you. I haven't let you go yet.
I actually think it was the moment he led her into the cave. He still had the blue paint on his hand from all the wall paintings that he threw up there, though.
Stop.
He's like, oh yeah, by the way, this wall painting shows that we should be banging together. By the way,
the children of the forest who knew
Don't
all these
look
mystical,
at my hands right now.
Who knew all these mystical things only knew how to draw in stick figures. Interesting. Isn't that interesting?
It is amazing.
Look, they drew a little swirly circle. Look, that means we should get together.
Well, let's talk about them getting together. Game of Thrones, how that Jon Snow twist changes everything. EntertainmentWeekly.com.
Of course it changes everything.
Well, how it changes everything? How? Not the how. Of course it does.
Nah.
It doesn't change anything? Nothing changes? Okay.
No.
Well, that's the problem with that comment and the theory. There's no standard in Game of Thrones. Everything has been in flux since the show started. There's no changing everything. Everything's always changing.
Yeah. I mean,
always.
George R.R. Martin is on the record as saying that this whole story was like the point of this whole story is them crossing paths at some point. It's the Song of Ice and Fire. Like, if they're not meant to be together, then maybe they're not meant to be together. But at some point, their paths were going to cross, and this story is about them. I mean, in the Targaryen family, incest isn't a big deal. That's what they did to keep the bloodline pure. So
yes, it's all right. It's no problem. Sleep with your aunt.
It's cool, dude.
Or your sister.
It's cool, dude.
Cool.
Well, let's run.
You can't really make fun of Jaime and Cersei now if we're gonna all be all right with Jon and Daenerys.
Yeah, listen,
were we making fun
of?
Everybody was making fun of Jaime and Cersei.
I feel like everyone was making fun of Jaime because he kind of seems like Cersei's like the dominant person in that relationship. Yeah. So there's no like you're never sitting there going like, well, I don't understand what she's doing. It's kind of like. It's like Jaime, really? Like, because then there's also
he's in love. He's genuinely in love.
Yeah,
she's evil, and he's in love with evil.
So will Daenerys
I can relate.
accept Jon as legitimate? Remember, he's now the rightful heir to the throne.
I question that, though. I mean, if you look at their parentage, right? So Aegon Targaryen, the Mad King, had Rhaegar, Viserys, and Daenerys, and Viserys died pretty spectacularly with that gold crown on his head. Rhaegar is Jon's father, so Aegon Targaryen is his grandfather. But it's Daenerys' father, so doesn't she have a more direct line to the throne if it was his father?
No. I got it. I got this. I'm on the show. Thank you very much. He is. Stop it! Don't touch me. Write something. Oh, he's the direct line. Aerys is the king.
Yeah.
Rhaegar is the eldest son. Jon is the eldest or the only living offspring of the eldest son. So it's in the line of succession. He's in direct line of succession. If there was no Jon,
then there would be a Daenerys. Because then it would have been Viserion and Viserys. And Viserys died, as everyone said, very spectacularly. So then she did move into the line of succession.
Where does Daenerys fit into all
Daenerys.
That was my joke. That was it right there. You just, no.
She doesn't.
You got really, really, engorged, like flames coming out of. Are you going to poop on this floor right now? Because that's how bad it looks right now.
I had a salad, so I might.
Sometimes
it's spinach. It's roughage. It's all roughage.
Okay, so will Daenerys actually accept Jon as legitimate? And does Jon even want to be the king? Because we kind of, he basically does not want to. But as
Jon's not going to give a darn.
As
Jon is going to abdicate.
Chris Katsakis said over and over and over again, Jon's had 80 million titles, and he just keeps getting promoted.
He just stumbles ass backward into them.
He's the guy from Office Space. He's like, he just knocks down the wall, and he's like, "Well, we're going to give you a promotion now. You're now king of everything."
If given the choice,
I don't want this.
If given the choice, he would
look
abdicate.
at my tiny ass.
Yeah.
All right. Will Dany and Jon halt their romance when they learn they're related?
Probably. Jon will.
I don't know though.
She won't care.
I don't think so. Right? Isn't it like in the Targaryen legacy that
he's more Stark than Targaryen, as far as he's concerned.
Can't they just give that? Like, if I'm Sam and they come back to Winterfell, and I see them and Bran's like, "Hey, I'd be like, you know what? Let's just give
I bet
them
you they'll
this."
keep it a secret, though. I bet you they'll tell Jon, and then Jon will be like, "Don't tell anybody."
Sam will just see them hooking up and be like, "Oh, oh no, nothing." That was my English accent.
That was.
Will
really
Dany
good.
get pregnant? I think that's kind of like we all think.
A given.
That's a given, right?
She's gonna have a turtle.
Like any time
they set it up.
Any time they keep going in. Well, I can't get pregnant.
Who told you couldn't have children?
Yeah,
she's gonna give birth to a dragon with fur.
She actually literally is going to have a dragon. People are going to be like,
what if she has a dire wolf? Like she just
gonna have a dire dragon.
Yeah,
dire dragon. I just made something up.
So let's go into, we have a couple minutes here before we're going to get into our guest, and then we'll get back to this as well, too. I was in Wizard World Chicago, which, by the way, fantastic show. Thank you to Jerry Milani for getting me access. We have some great interviews that are going to be coming up in the next couple weeks. Stay tuned for that. And we were talking to a bunch of other press.
Don't get off the show.
No.
Just listen all the way through.
That's right. Exactly.
The next 5 or 6 weeks.
Well, we're also doing a marathon at TalkRadio.NYC in December. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. One of the guys, Josh Lucas, from Den of Nerd, which, again, I don't know why
Not to be confused with Den of Geek.
Not to be confused with Den of Geek, who was our Game of Thrones expert that we had on here. I don't know why nerds and geeks are only relegated to dens.
I don't understand why everybody's got to have a kind of the same name.
I know.
Dark and cozy there. We like it.
His theory that they were talking about, though, was that
beats everything.
Bran. I know.
Don't eat Bran.
I know. I got that.
You'll poop on the floor.
I got that. That one I actually didn't mean to butcher.
Don't poop on the floor.
Bran is actually the Night King.
That's not true, though.
Yeah.
When we come back, we're going to talk to Mark Poulton. We're going to talk about his all ages book, The Pizza Tree, which is out now, and we'll get back to this theory as well. We're going to ask him his own theories on this.
Tell him to bring a pepperoni pizza when he comes.
Done and done. When we come back.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
If you have an interest in marijuana, you want to know about marijuana, law, policy, and culture, then feel free to join me, Joseph A. Bondi, every Friday at 11 o'clock in the morning on my show In the Know 420 on TalkingAlternative.com.
Legalize the herb to continue to resist the passage of this necessary legislation.
Hi, this is Rob Kay.
And I'm Callie Alpert.
And we're hosts of The Rob and Callie Show. Are you looking for a show that talks about real stuff like life, love, the pursuit of being yourself?
Then you have come to the right place, because we cover topics ranging from chivalry to gratitude to your relationship with money and everything in between.
So listen to us on The Rob and Callie Show, Tuesdays, 8 to 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on talkradio.nyc.
Talking Alternative Radio, 24 hours a day.
We talk comics, movies, TV, pop culture, all the stuff that you love, and we do it right here.
Stuff that makes the girls run away.
Oh, well, clearly. No. That is completely false.
Stuff that makes the girls
That
leave.
is completely
I recommended
false.
Secrets of the Sire on my show, and I got less female listeners.
Secrets of the Sire.
Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. We do this every week.
It's great to be
every
back.
Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. For all the newbies out there, that little drop there is actually Adam Weinberg. He's a fellow host on talkradio.nyc. He hosts Is It Plugged In, which is now on Thursdays at 2 o'clock. He used to actually precede our show. So we wish him well, and check it out, and check out all the great hosts we have on talkradio.nyc. All right, we were talking Game of Thrones theories, sure to go wrong, but for right now we're going to take a quick little detour, and we're going to welcome a good friend of mine, Mr. Mark Poulton. Mr. Mark, are you there?
Yeah, hey Mike, thanks for having me.
Very glad to have you as well, too, and you've got a great, exciting new project, but before we do, are you a Game of Thrones person? Do you watch the show?
I may be the only person who's never seen it before.
What?
Oh, no.
What? How does that happen? How?
I could tell you my theories on like Paw Patrol and what's going on in Adventure Bay, but I'm not. There's very little television that I watch that isn't like what my son.
Oh my
watches.
goodness! You have homework to do, my friend. You have homework to do. All right, we'll forgive
It's
you.
only 6 years worth of shows you got to watch.
You could get that. You could get through that in like a weekend.
Yeah,
like easily.
Well,
through
for
a
Game of
weekend.
Thrones, yeah, because it's only 60 hours.
Yeah,
done.
I think you can be done. I think you can be done. All right,
Don't do it though.
So I want to get into a couple good stories, because you and I are friends, and you've told me some really great stories in the comic book industry. You started kind of around the same time I did with the Sire, and you've done some stuff at DC, at Image. You've done really great stuff, but today you're on because you have a new all-ages book. It's called The Pizza Tree. Give us the backstory on that, and give us the whole rundown of what that book's about.
Okay, the whole genesis of Pizza Tree started a few years ago when I was out to dinner with my wife and son. And my son Chase, he was about 3 or 4 at the time, and we were at our favorite pizza place. And he was like, Dad, I know where pizza comes from. And I was like, really? And he was like, yeah. You just take a slice of pepperoni, you plant it in the ground, and a pizza tree grows from it. And I thought that was genius, and I was like, oh my gosh, that needs to be a book. So, once I got some other projects out of the way, I cleared some time out for him and I to work on it together. And today, actually, it just hit stores, so it's been a long process, but I'm real happy to see it out in stores.
And what's give us a little more detail on the storyline. Does the tree? Because I know at some point I saw some image. The tree kind of gets up and starts chasing you guys. Like, what's going on with that?
Yeah, so of course my son is like me, and he loves all things like horror and spooky stuff. So we decided that, well, he wanted to base the story on our family. So it's about him planting a slice of pepperoni in our backyard, and an evil pizza tree grows from it.
It's always got to be evil.
And he's feeding all the family and all the people in town pizza to fatten them up because he wants to eat them.
Wow.
So it's a little Shop of Horrors and a little bit Twilight Zone,
that's
right?
Game of Thrones convoluted.
That's
right
Game
there.
of Thrones right there. Yeah, exactly right. So the person who's going to sit on the Iron Throne is going to be the pizza tree.
Yes,
is essentially what you're saying.
That totally works.
How is it working with your son? I know. I mean, that's got to be a dream of a lot of fathers.
Nepotism.
Hassan doesn't have kids. That's why.
Don't let HR find out about that.
No, I'm jealous of him. He's at the age of 7, like to be a published author and to do a signing at San Diego Comic-Con. I would have killed for that.
Yeah.
So he's really lucky. But it's been a blast. Like I've done a lot of cool things in my career. I mean, like you said, I worked at DC Image. I got to work with my hero Rob Liefeld, and this working with Chase has surpassed all that. It's just been so awesome just to see him work on this, follow through with it, and for him to see the end result.
Sure. And
to have those moments, like to go to San Diego Comic-Con and get his first professional badge. He was so excited about that. And he's done interviews and stuff like that. When the books came in from the printer, he took a copy to his first grade class and read it to them. He was like a little local celebrity.
Now, no, don't get his ego up here.
Just don't tell him about royalties, and you'll be fine. Don't mention the word royalty.
He's got a work for hire deal, right?
yeah, he's on spec. He had to work on spec.
You're like, well, you've never really been proven.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm taking a big risk here.
I'm putting your money away, son. It's growing.
But you're not spending the money on HBO.
Gaining interest.
So, definitely not. So you have one of my favorite stories of all time that I'd love you to share here is about your first screenplay that ever got optioned. And for some reason, you came away with this conclusion that, boy, working in movies is just so much easier than getting a comic book published. Can you give us that storyline? I love hearing it, and I think our audience would appreciate it as well.
So back in the 90s, it was... Well, late 90s, early 2000s, there wasn't as much information on making comic books as there is now. I feel like anyone can make a comic book now.
Sure.
But back then, it was almost like this secret society on how to break in. No one was sharing information. The internet wasn't as big as it was now. So I was like a frustrated comic book writer. So I was like, hearing the success stories of like Kevin Smith and Robert Rodriguez, I was like, man, it's got to be a lot easier to make a movie. I'll just write a screenplay, I'll sell it, and someone can make it for me. So,
how hard is that?
I know. It's like there are literally like not college students, but like 45-year-old men in motel rooms being like, "What?
Yeah,
what?
Yeah, tying a noose right now.
Right.
I'll get them all back. I'll get them all back.
Go on.
Sorry.
So teen comedies were really hot at the time. There was like American Pie, Freddie Prinze Jr. was a huge star, all this going on. So I wrote a...
The 90s were a wild time.
So I wrote a teen comedy called Give Me Back My Stuff. And it was based on a girlfriend dumping me and me trying to get my stuff back from her.
It's a little on the nose. The title's a little on the nose.
It really hit Hassan. It really hit home for Hassan.
Yeah.
So I wrote it, and I bought the Hollywood Creative Directory because I read Robert Rodriguez's book, and he was like, you just get all the addresses from that, and you send them your script or your movie. And I was like, oh, that's how it works. So I started contacting producers, and they actually were willing to read a screenplay from a nobody like myself. And one day I got an email from a producer, Zane Levitt, who he did the children's film Shiloh about the little dog, and then he did Gun Crazy with Drew Barrymore. But what I knew him.
My
from
wife
was
just squealed, by the way, when you mentioned Shiloh. That is one of her favorite movies, I guess, when she was a kid, right? Is that what it is?
Oh my god, the story of Shiloh is like so sweet, like a little beagle.
Oh, wait till you hear about the producer, because okay, go ahead, keep going.
So, but what I knew him from was he did the live action version of Fist of the North Star, and I was like, oh, he's a comic guy. He will get me because my script was like littered with comic book references and all this.
He was Joss Whedon before Joss Whedon.
So.
If only he stayed Joss Whedon instead of the Joss Whedon we got.
So he asked me to send him a copy of the script. He got it on a Friday. Monday, he called me up and asked me if I wanted to option my screenplay to him. I was like, what?
It's just that easy, people. Why are we working so hard?
But then it gets crazier.
Now it gets crazy.
Yeah, no, it does. Yeah, it does.
The same day, I got interest from another producer, and they were like, oh, we're really interested in your screenplay. We have some notes on it. There's some issues with the structure of it that we'd like to go over. And I was like, okay. So I'm going back and forth with Zane. I'm going back and forth with these other people. And then finally I just decided to sign with Zane because he loved the screenplay the way it was.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he ends up inviting me and my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, out to his mansion in Hollywood. And his mansion in Hollywood looks like my house in the suburbs. It's just like a regular 2-story house.
Yeah. You'd think he would have done better, right?
It's in the Hollywood Hills, so it's location. So he invites us out. So we fly out to L.A., and he takes us to his office. And he was like, hey, I know you were talking to another producer about your screenplay. Come with me. And he takes me out of his office, walks next door, knocks on the door, and barges in and says, hey, you remember the guy that wrote that screenplay? Give me back your stuff. I just signed it.
They were neighbors. That's how they knew. They knew. Well, what ended up happening to that producer, though? Because I remember the conclusion of the story is also a little wild, right?
Yes. We were so close so many times of getting this movie made. At one point, I think it was going to be at Universal. It was starring Justin Long. At least this is what he told me. Who knows if any of this is true. It was going to star Justin Long and one of the kids from the boy band O-Town. And Universal had a big meeting about it, and everyone loved it. They thought it would be they did one teen film a year, and the American Pie, they just did this American Pie 2, and they thought that franchise was done, so they wanted to do this. And then one person in the meeting spoke up and was like, yeah, there's some things off about the structure. So they poo-pooed it, and they did American Wedding or whatever. So they went back to American Pie. But anyway, Zane was still into the movie, and he wanted to pick up the option. I was like, oh, awesome. I'll make a little more money. I like Zane. He's a character.
This is still easy.
It's fun working with him. And then, like a couple weeks later, I get a call from his business partner, who was like the money person, and they're like, "Hey, Mark, have you heard from Zane lately?" And I was like, "No, I'm just kind of waiting for my re-option money." And she was like, "Yeah, he kind of took off with your money and a lot of other people's money."
Oh no!
And then I found out years later he was in like Indiana making porn.
Your Shiloh memory not as nostalgic anymore, is it?
Oh, no.
This guy went on to make porn.
But he still lived in a 2-story house.
And that was your amazing adventure in the Hollywood world, huh?
Yeah, he was a blast, though. I mean,
he would have to be.
Like when we visited him, he took us a tour of Hollywood, but it wasn't like your usual tour. It was like
the tour of all the porn places in Hollywood.
This is the CVS parking lot where I used to score my drugs.
So you got the scenic tour, is what you got. You got the
This bar is where I did blow with Chris Penn to talk him into doing Fist of the North Star.
That's a real Hollywood, though.
Yeah,
you got a real Hollywood tour.
You got the inside scoop into Hollywood.
Yeah.
Mark, give the audience again. How can they get your book, and where can they find you online?
I'm online at Coney Waves on Twitter, at Coney Waves on Instagram. You can check me out on Facebook at Mark Poulton Writing. You can pick up the book at artistacomics.com, or you can pick it up at your local comic shop. And
that is your all-ages book, not your recounting of seedy Hollywood.
No, that's two different lives.
Give everyone real quick 30-second elevator pitch on the Pizza Tree one more time.
Pizza Tree is an all-ages horror comic book about a little boy who plants a slice of pepperoni in his backyard, and an evil pizza tree grows from it. If you like Goosebumps, you'll love the Pizza Tree.
Nice. Very cool.
Well
Mark,
done.
as always, a pleasure. I will see you at another convention very soon, I'm sure, and we'll catch up some more, too. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks, Mike.
When we come back, again, Game of Thrones theories, sure to go wrong. We didn't get through with them, and we're going to also go spinning the racks.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Are you into comics, movies, and pop culture at large? What about music and TV? Then you're in for a treat. This is Michael Dolce, your host on TalkingAlternative.com. I've been professionally writing comic books, screenplays, and music articles for almost 15 years. Catch my show, Secrets of the Sire, at its new primetime slot, Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and get the inside scoop on the pop culture universe you love to talk about. For more info, go to secretsofthesire.com.
Hello, this is Mark Torres.
And Pronto Comic Zone Dominic Sperano.
And listen to our show, It Came From the Radio, right here on talkradio.nyc, every Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we talk about entertainment, movies,
comic books, and other news.
So make sure you check us out. That's right here, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, every Wednesday, talkradio.nyc.
TalkingAlternative.com.
You ever seen like the old men at the Starbucks? Like they have their little like.
I don't go to Starbucks.
Oh, I do. I work at
I'm
Starbucks.
a man.
It's fantastic, and they just have these old men club, and they just sit around and talk about the good old days.
That's why I don't go into Starbucks. It's a creepy sausage fest on caffeine.
Secrets of the Sire.
Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. I want to thank our guest, Mark Poulton, for chiming in, talking about the Pizza Tree, and talking about his illustrious but brief Hollywood career as a screenwriter.
Did not bring a pepperoni pizza, though.
I also want to thank our in-studio guest, our guest co-host today, my wife, Christina Dolce. Gentlemen out there, if you want to celebrate your wedding anniversary, we are celebrating 3 years tomorrow. Go out and start a successful middling
podcast.
Well, actually, wait, she's here. A successful
now.
radio show and podcast.
You're welcome.
Happy anniversary. Build up the audience base and then invite her over. It's a foolproof way to get that anniversary. Give that special something an anniversary.
Because I didn't have to do a lot of work to make fun of you.
This is very true. And appreciate that it has not been a poop on Mike Fest, which being the MC of the show, I've actually kind of steered.
Oh, there's still time left, though, honey.
Oh, yeah. True. Well, there is time, but instead we're going to get into a couple other Game of Thrones theories sure to go wrong. So again, Josh Lucas from Den of Nerd talked about Bran being the Night King.
Not true.
Warging into the body of the guy who ends up being the Night King, and is that going to be? And I actually think it makes so much sense, though.
Why?
Because from a story standpoint, like how amazing would that be for Jon Snow to have to take on his brother at the end? And also, why is the Night King not quite been able to finish Jon Snow off?
That's meaningless because you've spent I don't know what 8 years building Bran up to be the three-eyed raven, just for him to accidentally warg into this thing and have to be killed. That's a lot of story time that you spent on no real resolution.
No, but that is a real resolution, right?
That is not a real.
Like it's a time.
If everybody sees the future and he sees the future and what's his name?
Yeah.
Ming the Merciless sees the future. Max von Sydow saw the future,
sure.
Right? Then he's not gonna. It doesn't make any sense that they just wouldn't see that angle coming.
But they didn't see the future. They didn't. No, they can't see. Wait, can they see the future, honey?
He sees everything.
He sees everything. He's a three-eyed raven.
So, but if he can see everything, then he knows how it's going to end already. So why is there
he
a
can
point
only
then?
see when he focuses on it.
Right. See, so there's your loophole.
But no,
right
but
there.
Max von Sydow would have seen everything because he spent 1,000 years waiting for Bran. You don't
Sure.
spend 1,000 years to wait for the kid so that he could screw up and become, Brannigan Skywalker.
So every plan that everyone has just automatically is supposed to go right then, right?
I'm talking about a narrative of story.
Yeah.
Right? Everything has to pay off.
Sure.
To some
You
kind
don't
of
think a
satisfactory
Bran versus
extent.
Jon Snow in the end would be
It wouldn't make any sense unless they made a big deal out of it. It would have to be in the context of a choice that they were warning him not to make, and he makes it, and then he becomes a. But they haven't set that up.
Not yet. Not yet.
They're not going to be able to. Look how
you don't
rushed
think so,
this
right?
season was.
No, I don't think Bran is the Night King. I think that there are similarities between the two. I think that they both have this
there you go.
sense of vision. I think that they both have the same kind of magic running through them. I mean, we kind of talked about it before. Like, what is the Night King? What's his purpose? Like, why is he marching into Westeros? What's his end game? He doesn't care if he sits on the Iron Throne.
Right.
So, like, there's still some history. I think Bran's purpose is going to be some point in season 7. They're going to try everything to beat the Night King, and they're going to say it's not working. And he's like, let me work back in time and figure out how we're going to do this.
And I'm going to jump into the body. Oops, I'm the Night King now. Oh no!
You're only basing that off of a photoshopped photograph of the pendant.
I
which
am
is not
basing
really
it off
true.
of an engaging conversation I had at Wizard World Chicago, where they went into all these spoiler
With
talk.
people who have no better thing to do than
What about this
project
theory?
out.
What about this theory?
The typical these guys say, but I don't know these guys' names, and I don't have any credentials of where these guys got this information
The
from.
internet told me.
Yes, exactly.
They actually they posted it on the internet, so the internet is that
that makes them totally
They're the ones that started the internet.
Oh, I understand
What
now.
about this one? Arya will slay Cersei as Jaime.
Okay, why?
Nah.
Why?
Well,
what's the significance of it?
Cersei's on the list. Peter's shaking his head. No.
No, it kills Jaime's arc.
Well, Jaime. Do we think Jaime's going to make it through to the end?
Yeah.
Oh, we got to see.
The internet told me that Jaime might have a bigger part to play. But Arya would have to kill Jaime to get his face to kill Cersei, and Jaime's not on her list.
But maybe he's their ticket to the list. He's maybe the ticket to the list. All right, and here's the last one. And this is one. This is one that you actually proposed to me, and I brought it to our Den of Geek, not Den of Nerd, Game of Thrones expert, and he kind of shrugged it off. Tyrion is a Targaryen too. What do we base that on, and why do we think that's a possibility?
In the books, there's the description of Tyrion in the books is that he has hair. He has a brown eye and a green eye, or a black eye and a green eye, and his hair is very, very blonde. I don't know. I had the exact reference here, but I don't have it anymore. But it is as blonde as a Targaryen's hair.
Yeah.
So he does not resemble Cersei and Jaime. He does not resemble his father. We don't know what his mother looks like, but I mean, there's many times in the books too where their father, I forget his name now. Help me, Tywin Lannister.
Yes.
Is like, you're no son of mine, and maybe that's true.
Just like Jon Snow was able to kind of approach the dragon, Tyrion is also one of the only people that is able to actually approach the dragon. The dragon did not.
Not true, but he is one of the few who interacted with the dragons and wasn't killed by it. But what is the significance of him being a Targaryen?
I think that there's
what does that do for the
there
story?
was the 3 dragon riders,
It was
right?
the three-headed dragon, but
Right,
now there's
but
only
now there's only
2 dragons.
Well, no. There's still a 3rd dragon. He just happens to be
it's the
dead
Night
and on the
King.
other side.
Yeah,
right
but is
now.
the Night King a Targaryen because he can ride a dragon? Like,
No.
you know?
So then what then?
Maybe Tyrion is the Night King. Maybe that's the twist
Oh, boy.
that we're going
Maybe
into.
the Night King was
Tyrion
a
is
Targaryen.
Snoke.
we did talk about this though.
What?
The Jon and Dany getting together, still more chemistry than Padme and Anakin.
No.
Still more. Yeah.
No,
absolutely.
incorrect.
All right. We have exhausted our Game of Thrones theories, but no, that's actually not true at all. We could always go there. We could continue doing it.
Yeah,
but
they just get dumber and
instead,
dumber as you go along.
We are going to fill our time with
We just
what
wait
we do
18 months.
every week. Yeah, we're going to wait 18 months. We do this every week. We go spinning the racks to bring you the most fantastical pop culture news available.
Spin the rack, spin the rack.
It's not funny when you dub yourself over.
That's why I'm doing it.
I know.
It takes the spotlight off of me.
You're like, wait a minute. I'm getting pooped on.
And I just appreciate it. made that word up.
In the spirit of things, Game of Thrones season 7 finale draws a record 16.5 million viewers.
Even with all the
Variety.
leaks, say it ain't so.
The Game of Thrones season 7 finale set another ratings high with 16.5 million viewers. That number includes people who watched the episode as it aired and night of streams.
Nobody cares about Game of Thrones anymore. It's jumped the shark. The show has jumped the shark, hasn't it?
We didn't talk about that one aspect.
It's lost its edge.
The pace to the season, I think that does have to be acknowledged.
Yes, everything is different.
It really sped up this season.
But the click bastards are so quick to want to say that it's over.
Sure,
everybody wants to draw a postmortem on something popular.
I think it was a very strong season, right? But it's going to do well.
That last season is going to be ridiculous. The last episode is going to break all records.
Yeah, it's going to break your TV. It's going to explode your TV.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
You're going to
if we don't break it first, are you kidding me? I'm about to flip our coffee table over into it every episode, waiting for something to happen.
Actually, I think the penultimate episode will break the TV, and then no one will be able to watch.
No one will see the last.
We'll be like, well, this was a waste of time.
So the show will actually end on a failure because no one watched the last episode.
Even the camera guys flip the camera. So we can't do this.
Screw this.
We're out of here.
We're done here, people. James Cameron doesn't get strong female characters. James Cameron didn't invent the strong female character, but from his recent comments, you might think he believes he did. Nearing the 20th anniversary of Judgment Day, Cameron compared Sarah Connor to Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman. All of the self-congratulatory back-patting Hollywood's been doing over Wonder Woman has been so misguided, he told the publication. She's an objectified icon, and it's just male Hollywood doing the same old thing. I'm not saying I didn't like the movie, but to me, it's a step backwards. And then he went on to say Sarah Connor is actually a strong female character.
The two of them are jackasses. The both of them. Because
Patty Jenkins, yeah.
Patty Jenkins replied to that. And the two of them it's the stupidest fight in the world to have.
Right.
First of all, Cameron shouldn't have called anybody else's art out.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. He doesn't learn from Joss Whedon, who got destroyed. He got wrecked for doing the same thing. And second of all, if I were Patty Jenkins, I would have been like, oh, you didn't like it? Thanks. It would have been so succinct. It would have been like
well, obviously you don't get
Stephanie
a woman's point
Meyer,
of view, clearly.
Who wrote Twilight, had the greatest response to Stephen King. Stephen King ripped Twilight so bad, and Stephanie Meyer's response was, "Stephen King read my book. That's awesome." And it was brilliant, and that's what you got to do. You don't punch back and forth with these people. That's ridiculous.
I guess not. All right. Well, I want to again thank our guest Mark Poulton via phone. I want to thank my lovely and talented wife Christina Dolce, our Game of Thrones expert.
Woo!
She did great. Next week,
I think she slept with the host to get on the show.
She better have only slept with the host.
We have a son, so
he is not a bastard. He is not a bastard.
That's what I thought.
We welcome Robin Callie from the Robin Callie Show here on TalkRadio.NYC, and we also are going to welcome Biff Tanner from Back to the Future. He's going to talk about the enduring legacy of Back to the Future.
I'm going to get him to send me back to 1992.
And we are going to go through what movies you need to watch to get your geek diploma. Coming up next week.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Who do you want to connect with?
Are you an entrepreneur or intrapreneur looking to build your following?
Welcome to our show.
Follow Me Friday with Joan
and Priya.
Tune in every Friday at noon Eastern
on talkradio.nyc.
We're your digital connectors. Woo woo!
Hey, all you crazy listeners. Looking to boost your business? Why not advertise on Talking Alternative with very reasonable rates? Interested? Simply email at info@talkingalternative.com.
Are you into comics, movies, and pop culture at large? What about music and TV? Then you're in for a treat. This is Michael Dolce, your host on TalkingAlternative.com. I've been professionally writing comic books, screenplays, and music articles for almost 15 years. Catch my show, Secrets of the Sire, at its new primetime slot, Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and get the inside scoop on the pop culture universe you love to talk about. For more info, go to secretsofthesire.com.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network at www.talkingalternative.com. Now, broadcasting 24 hours a day. Talking Alternative.
Hi, this is Rob Kay.
And I'm Callie Alpert.
And we're hosts of the Rob and Callie Show. Are you looking for a show that talks about real stuff like life, love, the pursuit of being yourself?
Then you have come to the right place, because we cover topics ranging from chivalry to gratitude to your relationship with money and everything in between.
So listen to us on the Rob and Callie Show, Tuesdays, 8 to 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.